Hello everybody. Welcome to Revelation Broadcasting. I changed the name of the channel. I've been grappling with that for months. That was basically my disobedience. God was telling me He wanted me to change my attitude. And I struggled. He wanted that change in attitude to reflect in the name of the channel. But I was just so stuck in the way that I felt and all this anger that I have felt. And I'm not going to lie, it's still there. But I'm really having to daily, multiple times a day, go to God and ask for help to just let things be what they are and enjoy life as much as possible under the circumstances, which I have to say, and I don't like saying it, but it's the truth, even out here that is becoming increasingly more difficult. I inherited a dog with severe separation anxiety from my nephew. Not going to go into the reasons why, but I really thought that in all the time that this dog has been with me, King, you've met him, seen him in here. He's a sweet dog, sweet as you could ever want. Loving, wonderful. He's an awesome dog, but he cannot stand to be left alone. I mean, when I was working, he would be left alone for 8-9 hours, sometimes longer. And there were times, most of the time he did pretty good, but then there were times when he would just be so destructive, and it would just be so frustrating. I mean, you can probably hear him now, whimpering and whining. He doesn't like the fact that I'm not in there with him. And even putting him on a lead where he can see me, if I get too far away from him, even though he can see me, he still whines like crazy, and it drives me nuts. I can't do anything work-wise outdoors without him doing all that whining. So I thought, well, maybe what I need to do is take him farther back in the property, put his lead on a tree, and let him just run around on the lead. That was just as, it was better because he's not as loud. It wasn't as difficult for me. It was a lot more peaceful. But then there are the ticks, and ticks are out here everywhere. I mean, they always are every year. I knew that was going to happen when the weather warmed up. They were going to be everywhere, and they are. Well, he doesn't want to sleep on the floor. He'll go back and forth from the bed to the floor and spends quite a bit of time in my bed. And of course he brings the ticks onto the blankets. I found ticks on my body today in places I've never seen ticks on my body before. I'm not going to say where, but I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And every single day, all throughout the day, I'm having to pick ticks off of my body. Sometimes even when I'm sleeping at night, I will wake up, I'll feel one crawling on me, and I have to either pick it off or I have to pluck it because it's embedded itself into my skin. I'm so tired of ticks, and they're coming from him. I put flea and tick protection on him, but they have to bite in order to get poisoned and die, and before they get the chance to bite, they're in my bed. As if that's not bad enough, I think I remember mentioning the mouse problem. It has not gotten any better. I got to feeling so bad about using those sticky traps because the poor things were suffering until they died. I can't use those anymore, so I got a catch and release trap. That makes me feel better about what I'm doing with the mice, but it doesn't stop them from coming in. I don't know. I've done everything that I can think of so far to keep them from coming in. They don't like peppermint, clove, whatever. So I've got some flea and tick spray that's natural, and the same oils that are in that spray to repel the fleas and ticks from my dog should be working on the mice, because they don't like the same fragrances. They don't like them. Well, it's not keeping them out. It has decreased their numbers, but they're still coming in. Can't leave anything that is packaged out, because they will start chewing into the package and then start, of course, eating what's inside. I can't leave anything out. Everything has to be either contained or in the refrigerator or somewhere that they're not able to go to, which it's frustrating. And I thought for a while, I was asking, because I thought, maybe I've done something wrong. Maybe God's upset with me. And then the more I listen to other people, the more I really believe when they say that the closer you get to a breakthrough, that the more the enemy is going to throw at you. And I've believed that for quite some time. So the only thing that's making any sense to me right now is that we must be far closer to a complete societal collapse than I even realize that we are. We have to be that close, because the enemy, I feel, is trying to get me to move away from here and back into the city. And I don't believe that that's where God wants me. Everything flowed so easily and so smoothly for me to get out here. I don't believe that would have happened that way if God didn't want me here. I don't believe that. It would have been more difficult. It might have even been impossible. So the fact that it did happen so easily and everything went so smoothly for a while, and then all of a sudden the cold snap came this winter, and I was concerned, not about King. His breed is Shar-Pei. He's bred for cold weather. He would have been able to withstand it without any problem. And I could have, but it got so cold that I was concerned that his water was going to freeze while I was at work, because I wouldn't have been able to afford to keep the heat running. Well, I could have, as far as electricity is concerned, but that little space heater wouldn't have made much of a difference. I would have had to keep the propane on, and I was trying to conserve propane because propane costs money. And now that I have quit my job, which I believe also, it was God's will for me to do that. It had to have been. It had to have been. It was too much stress. I could not deal with it any longer. I just couldn't. I was already going off on some of the people, not all, but one or two people that I had to work with, and I was on the verge of going off so bad that I would have probably gotten fired, because it wouldn't have just been going off on an employee. I would have been going off on my boss too, because I was getting no support from him whatsoever. It really didn't appear to me that he cared what I was having to deal with on second shift, as long as it wasn't him there having to deal with it. It really is the way that it felt. And I needed him to do something, because there wasn't anything I could do. There just wasn't. So that's where I am right now. What kind of obstacles do you feel that the enemy is putting in your way to stop you? And the reason I say that I believe that is what's happening is because my mom she's got issues, pretty serious ones, but everybody has those. But the way that she's done things over the years has made it near impossible for me to do a lot of things that really need to be done out here. She just has. And it's been the way that she's done things and the lack of things that have been done that have caused this. But she has also managed to accumulate a lot of non-perishable food, which is good. The bad thing is that, I don't even know if it's a bad thing or not. I don't know. How should I even put that? I don't think it's a bad thing that she continues to get more, as much as the lack of organization involved in it. That's the bad part of it. The fact that she continually keeps getting more, that's not a bad thing, because it's all going to be needed. And I'm just hoping and praying that when the time comes that it is needed for other people, that they're going to be reasonable people. I hope. Because now we've got people saying, and I know I'm going on, but I have to go through this in its entirety. Now we've got people claiming, and I think they might be right, and I don't like it, but this war that we have coming, whether it be a revolution, civil war, combination of both, whatever it's going to be, is going to be between city people and people in rural communities like this, who just really want to be left alone to live our lives the way that we see fit, the way that we feel God wants us to, in a way that is going to be beneficial not only to us but to others when the time comes as well. That's all we want to do. You want to be left alone to do what we feel God wants us to do. And if these people are correct, then I can expect that the situation is going to become a lot harder to deal with. And I hope they're wrong. I pray they're wrong. Please pray with me that these people are wrong. But I'm hearing it from a lot of folks on YouTube. And I just, like I said, I hope and pray they are wrong. Because I don't want to have to deal with that. I really don't. I mean, I don't want to have to do anyone any harm in order to just try to live a peaceful life. I don't want to have to do that. But I don't know. It could come to that. I hope it doesn't. I pray. God, please do not allow that to come our way. I'm having enough difficulty dealing with the obstacles that are being put in my way as it is, because I'm not going to lie, there are times when I do feel like it might be better for me to go back to live with Maurice, but where am I going to get a job? I mean, I probably could at this point, somewhere, but I like my independence. I do. I like being here. I like being able to do what I want to do when I want to, for the most part. Can't do anything I want to do, of course. There are things that need to be done out here that just can't be done. There are things that I want to do that I can't do because circumstances are just prohibiting it. Some things I'm thinking that maybe it might even be God that is prohibiting. Maybe there's some things he just never really wanted me to do to begin with. Could be. And so now he's preventing that from happening at all. It's a rough life, but I can't give up, especially if this really, and I believe it is, the enemy putting these things in my life to try and make me feel so fruitless and unhappy that I just give up. But I can't leave here. I can't. And my mom would go crazy. Well, crazier if I was to leave here and leave this camper where it is. She would go off. I know she would. She'd be telling me I need to move it, sell it, something, because if I'm not going to be living out here, she don't want it here. She's already saying that in 2 or 3 years I'm going to have to do something with it anyway because she's got plans. Yeah, well, she's had plans for a very long time. We'll just leave it at that. I don't know. It's in God's hands. Everything is in God's hands. So, what do? Pray. Try to stay calm. Try to come up with solutions that are hopefully going to be just that, a solution, not a temporary fix. I did some research. Mice do not like peppermint. So I bought 4 peppermint plants from Amazon. They'll be here Thursday. I thought at first plant them outside around the camper, but I think at this point maybe I need to have them inside the camper. They're going to be small. I'll take them, outside to water them, let them drain, and then bring them back in. If they get to, hopefully they won't get too big until, I don't know. At any rate, excuse me, when they do get big, I might not necessarily have to have them inside. I can take the leaves off and just sprinkle them around the place, and hopefully that will be enough to repel them and keep them from coming back in. I've already gone 16 minutes. I think this is the longest I've ever had a video, and I know that not very many people are going to listen because of the length. I hate that, but that's the way it is. I'm just going to leave it at that. Let me know if you have any suggestions. What's going on with you? Do you feel that there are obstacles being put in your way by the enemy to prevent you from doing what God wants you to do? Please let me know. If I'm not the only one, tell me, please. I need to hear it. Till next time, just call me Brother Ed from now on. Revelation Broadcast, signing out.